Hello everyone, welcome to Four Lads Rangers midweek podcast with two of your very favourite podders and Kenny here to bring you all the latest Rangers news. Ladies and gentlemen, I can't believe it. Kenny just called me a cock womble before we come on live. It's just shocking the abuse I take from him, genuinely. But we are delighted to be here. Chris, how are you? It's been a week. Rangers won at the weekend.
Yes, and there's no European game for me to bring everybody down on a downer, so all good.
Kenny, how are you, mate? You well?
I'm all right, apart from I've got you in double vision and double audio, but I'm fine, yes.
Yeah, so StreamYard have started doing a new thing where you can watch it, and they're calling it like Mars. You can watch it vertical, you can watch it horizontal and all. I don't know if you guys can see it. I've turned it off, but apparently Chris and Kenny can still see it. So I don't know what I've done. This is what happens when you leave it to me, and Andrew buggers off and only comes on Friday night now. So I don't know what I've done. If you can see it and it's annoying, I'm sorry. I'll fix it next time. I don't know how I've unfixed it. I don't know how I've selected. I don't know. But anyway, let's get straight into it. Danny Röhl. I think what we wanted to discuss, basically, there was so much, I think, to discuss. He went to Ibrox yesterday to meet his staff, introduce himself. Kenny, you've met him. He shakes everybody's hands at the start of press conferences and things. He's a very personable guy. He's obviously trying to make an impact. He's trying to endear himself. You had the whole ending there on Sunday after the game. I want to get your thoughts, boys, both of you. Chris, I'll ask you in a minute, but Kenny, what do you think of Danny Röhl and what he's trying to do?
I've taken to him since he came, right? I won't suggest otherwise. There's something really likeable about him. He's won 3 and 6. 2, he's lost in Europe. He's lost the League Cup final. I find it very difficult to judge him on them because of the standard of the squad that we have. So has he improved things? Yeah, slightly. Does he come across as a likeable guy? Absolutely. Do I want him to do well? Yeah. But it's very difficult to judge, mate. He's just in the door. He's only in 3 weeks. And yeah, as I say, the fact that he's changed the formation, he's made his heart instantly decided that we're going to have to be harder to beat. He's going to have to figure a way of dealing with the leaky defence that we have. And he's kind of managed to, up to a point, to do that. But again, I think personnel is a real issue more than a head coach at this moment in time, because you could have Pep or whoever in charge of this squad of players, and I don't think you're going to get much of a tune out of them. So on that basis, yeah, a good 7 out of 10 start for me in terms of, yeah, he's doing all the right things, even stupid things like us. When I say stupid things, I'll rephrase that, like quirky things like wearing the suit and, you know, embracing the traditions of the football club and stuff like that. That's important to an awful lot of people. So I like it. I like the fact that he's embracing everything about the football club. Performance-wise, again, I think that it's very difficult to turn around and say that he's doing a magnificent job because he's only won 3 out of 6. But it's also fair and realistic to say that he could have went right down the Russell Martin route and not won many games at all. So fair play to him for upping the levels somewhat anyway.
Chris, Danny Röhl, I know you'll have your own kind of opinion on how the kind of Röhl roar, if you like, but not to go into that straight away. I got a wee bit of criticism because people were moaning, saying I was grumpy at my own opinion on that. What do you think of him overall? What I was impressed by was on Sunday was the fact that we did and were able to go and do a professional job in Dundee when performance levels have been so low that even that has looked a million miles away. So I'm pretty pleased with even that short improvement that they managed to get to that point.
Yeah, he's come in and done he's had a fairly good start. Obviously, there's a few bumps in the road in Europe, but in many ways, Don't want to say that's to be expected because we shouldn't be getting beat off Bran, certainly in the manner of that defeat. But
did you just get punked by the ice cream van there?
Aye, and my kids are trying to phone me as well, so I'm all over the place here, Steve. I tell everybody, leave me alone at this particular time. But anyway, yeah. So Roma, that was always going to happen, no matter who the manager was, purely because of the quality of the squad. Bran, he was just in the door, literally 48 hours, if that. So you can kind of excuse them, and I was going to excuse them anyway, because Europe for me was never really a priority, especially with the start that we made. So for me, it was all about, can we start climbing that league and can we start cutting the deficit? And he's done that. So you have to give him absolute credit for that. And that's his remit between now and January. I seen, obviously, Stevie, you put an article out today on Rangers Review, and I couldn't agree any more with you. The job he has to do between now and January is give us a fighting chance into that window, get rid of the players that are quite frankly useless, and there is a long list of them, and start adding to the quality of the team. Now, I understand that that's maybe not going to be all on him. Well, let's be honest, it's not going to be all on him. Obviously, Felwell's going to have a big say in that, and that worries me greatly. So that's a bridge that we'll cross when we come to it. And in regards to what Kenny was saying about him buying into the culture of the team, culture of the club and stuff like that, it's quite refreshing because we had a manager, let's be honest, we had a manager that was here prior to Danny Röhl, and his whole demeanour was he was doing us a favour. And it was quite frankly ridiculous that we really tolerated that. I mean, I didn't want the guy to begin with, and I'm not going down this route. I was slagging Russell Martin because we shouldn't really be talking about him anymore. But when you had a guy like that, it was just complete arrogance based on nothing. Refused to follow traditions in the club, and was then telling us that, you know, we're getting there and we're getting better. Then you've got Danny Rowe who comes in, who quite clearly sees this opportunity that he's been given as a privilege, because it is a privilege to manage our football club, regardless of where we are in the league or how we're currently performing. To be the manager of Rangers Football Club, you're only a select few people. However, that select few people is getting bigger and bigger by the year, but hopefully it doesn't continue like that. So, listen, I'm impressed by his. I'm impressed by his start in terms of buying into us and showing that he sees it as a privilege. He's not here to do us a favour, and you can tell he wants to do well, which is good. In regards to performances, I don't give a shit about performances. I would quite happily get battered every single week between now and January and pick up 1-0 wins. It's clearly, for me, all about winning. And then I think, referring back to your article again here, Stevie, if you see wee chinks of light that performances are starting to pick up, that's just a bonus for me. I think we'll start judging them on performances after the January window and round about kind of March, April, and then obviously when he gets a full pre-season. But right now it's just all about winning. And do you know what? This was my biggest fear about Danny Rowe. I thought he was going to be another one of these managers that wants to talk about performances and the trajectory of the team and how they're going. But no, he doesn't care about that either. He's all about he just wants to get the 3 points, win, and that's quite refreshing as well. Because again, what we had prior to that was we had a guy coming out after, you know, drawn with Falkirk saying, "Oh well, obviously I want to win, but it's all about the manner of winning and how we win. There's a style of win." Roll's no giving us any of that bullshit. He just wants the 3 points, and that's good enough for me. Albeit I was fairly fearful that he was going to be one of those guys that just wants to talk about philosophies, performances, and etc. But no, refreshingly surprised.
Kelso said Sunday was a fantastic result, lads. We should be delighted with a 3-0 victory. I think, to be fair, I said it was a thoroughly professional win. I am delighted with Sunday. But what I was trying to get at is that I think it was the ease, Chris, that they seemed to do it with. And by that, I mean, how do I say this and be respectful? Dundee are a good side. You never really win 3-0 at Dens Park that often. So to go there and win like we did and be largely untroubled. Yes, we did drop gears for 20 minutes in the second half, but we scored 3 in the first half. One obviously chopped off. We had some efforts on goal. In the second half, we had some more good saves from the keeper from Asgard and Raskin, and then we had a third at the end. Now, we went from shipping 20 chances, 30 chances a game, and 5-6 of them being glaring opportunities, to being fairly robust and creating opportunities at the other end. So I don't want to downplay it on Sunday, but I also don't want to overhype it in a way that this is where it's going to sound arrogant, and it's not meaning to, but Sunday should be our level of where we're at. I'd like to think so. That's the kind of level we need to get to. So fair play to Röhl. Just in the 3 or 4 weeks that he's been there, he took over after, a hideous start to the league campaign, and he's got his 3 wins and a bounce that are pretty decent. So for me, I don't want to overhype it, but positivity, like Hills was saying, is definitely there.
And I think as well, I mean, I can't really comment fully on the game at the weekend. I obviously caught the highlights, but as you know, Stevie, my good partner decided to take my new car, which was less than a week old, down a pothole. So that's what I was doing on Sunday. So I actually missed like the whole game, pretty much the last 20 minutes I caught. But from what I heard was we were pretty good on the first half. Probably should have been about 3 or 4 up. And then in the second half, there was a noticeable drop in performance. So I think that's maybe where the negativity, it's no negativity, by the way, it's constructive criticism, but I get why it can be conceived as negativity. But I guess that's where a lot of people were going with this, because we should have really put that game to bed a lot sooner. And the danger is the longer it goes at 2-0, Dundee get a late goal, then we're kind of clinging on again. And to be fair, I think that's a fair assessment, because from what I heard, and again, I can't really say from what I've seen, but from what I heard, we did create enough chances to put that game to bed. And I think that's something that Danny Röhl will be working towards, with the team. When we've got a comfortable lead, you get that third goal, that's the game dead, and we can take a wee sigh of relief. And I think, again, if you're to be mega critical and nitpicking with Danny Röhl, don't fully understand the changes at half time. Obviously I heard about that. I didn't really understand that at the time. Still probably don't understand it either, because it's not as if we had games coming up at midweek to keep an eye on. And I think that's maybe what killed the momentum a wee bit. But again, Röhl is young, and again, please don't take this as a criticism. He is young. He is sort of learning these things as well, and especially he's still learning Scottish football. So possibly he will look back at that and he might have, I don't want to say regrets, but he might have changed that decision if he could have been back in time, and perhaps he might not do it again, because a 2-goal lead in any game of football in any country is quite, I don't want to get too cliche, Stevie, because it's a dangerous lead, but we all know that 1 goal and they go back into it. But more so in Scotland, because the anxiety from the fans can feed into the players, especially our team. And I think we were all probably expecting, watching the game, the longer that went on at 2-0, if Dundee nicked a goal, we would have, the likelihood is they probably would have got another. So yeah, these are the wee things he needs to iron out. But again, it's no criticism. I'm just kind of saying it as I see it.
Yeah, Kenny, moving away from the game to the ending on the roar and things like that, we've kind of had our say on it. I'm eager to see what Chris is going to say. It's been a couple of days. You've read all the kind of opinions and stuff. It seems like it's a cultural thing in Germany. I understand it. Have you kind of changed your viewpoint on it? Are you still the same you were?
I don't know, mate. I understand what you're saying, that you'd much rather see it when we're winning things. We've got trophies in hand and stuff like that. I get that, but at the same time, it actually doesn't bother me too much. It was the same with Philip Clement against St Johnstone, and he's just trying to build a rapport. I think the nature of the beast with Rangers at this moment in time, the relationship between supporter and club is incredibly fractured. I mean, it really is, and that's on every level. So he's probably garnered enough information about that to turn around and say, right, we need a connection. Because if Clement used to call it the synergy or whatever he called it. And I think it's just something similar to that. I think you're right. I think it's a foreign or a European type thing that the head coach or the manager, whoever that may be, wants that relationship and that rapport with the supporters. For me, it doesn't really bother me. And I do get it. I do understand why people do get wound up by it, because I've seen a lot of folks say it was a bit tin pot. He's won 3 games in the league, and that's him going. I don't really care. I actually think that football's supposed to be an entertainment business. You're meant to enjoy yourself when you're there. I mean, you're paying 35, 40 quid a ticket these days to go and see, to go and sit at Dens Park. It's not the greatest of stadiums to sit there and pay 40 quid to go and see a game. So, I don't know. I just think that we analyse everything to the minutest detail, mate, and we'll pick fault in everything and anything if we feel the need. And it's just the nature of our support, I'm afraid, that it's the old one. You put 3 Rangers fans in a room and you'll have 4 supporters clubs within an hour. So it's the way it kind of works with us. We've all got different opinions, and for me personally, I'm not bothered.
I'm just laughing, Kenny, because Cheryl has just messaged me calling me a prick because we were winding her up earlier on in the group chat. See, while you're talking about supporters club, Chris, just before I come to you, a big welcome to Five Towns loyal RSC. A very good friend of mine, Stewart O'Neill, has helped to launch a new Rangers supporters club based across the 5 towns of West Yorkshire, which is Castleford, Pontefract, Normantown, Featherstone and Nottingley. They're running their first bus up to Ibrox for the Rangers versus Falkirk game on the Sunday the 30th of November at 2 p.m. So if you're in the area and want to travel up with fellow Bears, get in touch with them. They're on Facebook, Instagram or X at 5 Towns Loyal. 5 is spelled 5. So give Stuart a shout. He is a top class boy. Stuart and I went to the Scottish Cup final the way back when Lovenkrands scored his last minute winner, and it was a very messy evening indeed. Very good fun times. But if you're in that area, get in contact with Stuart and Alex and they'll sort you out. Top boys, and it's always great to have another supporters club and more Rangers fans travelling to the game. So good shout, Kenny. That reminded me to do that. Chris, just before we kind of move on from Danny Röhl, what's your thoughts and what's your take on the whole celebrations at the end of Sunday?
I'm kind of, it is what it is. There's a lot of factors to it if you really want to overanalyze it. Just want to pick Kenny up on a point though. That Clement stuff did bother me. That was cringy. That I couldn't get behind that.
I didn't like it either, but I think it's because I just didn't like him. So and it kind of
possibly that's influenced your thinking a wee bit, but no, the Clement stuff for me was way more cringy than what Rohl done at the weekend. But listen, you don't want to overanalyze it. Like, you've all got thoughts on it. Like, would I rather he didn't do it? Probably, but you look at it again. I'm going to overanalyze this. He's probably got a wee bit carried away. That's fine. That happens. But you also look at the other side of it. You know, he clearly knew that he wasn't the preferred choice. Now, that's no disrespect to him. That's just pretty much what we're being honest here, aren't we? Like, and people can pick me up and go, oh, but was that because Muscat was the first choice? No, Muscat wasn't even the first choice. The first choice was Gerrard, and then it went to Muscat, and then obviously Rohl, who himself withdrew from the process. So there probably is that wee bit of, he just wants to show us. He seems a very urgent, he seems to be in an urgent rush to show us that he is the right man and we can trust him. And he's really bought into the club, as we mentioned previously. So, look, again, you're kind of getting into realms of overanalyzing. He didn't look like he was going to do it to begin with. He was clapping the fans off, and then he's just got a wee bit carried away. So, fine, cool. It's not something that I want to make a big deal about, Kenny. Stevie. I get why people think it was cringy, and I get why people don't mind it. I probably am a wee bit more on the cringy side of it, but again, I'm not going to be too bothered about it. But that's me just trying to be as objective as I possibly can, because I don't try and apply double standards to everything that I do, and I really, we all know who used to do it for them, and I found that really, really cringy, especially when he done it against East Kilbride, and I thought, oh my god. So I would rather my Rangers manager didn't do that, but do you know what? I'd rather my Rangers manager done that when he's got trophies in his hand, and hopefully that's the direction we're heading. So yeah, It's not a big deal. It's not. Stop trying to set me up as well. I know you're trying.
No, absolutely not. I think we've already established this week that you just being there seems to irk everybody, judging by things that you say or don't say. But I'm going to kind of move on from Danny Röhl. I think the consensus is, and I would say probably, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, guys, we all just want to see him do well. He's a likable guy. He's a bit of an underdog, which I kind of, tend to root after the underdogs. Was he first choice? No, he probably wasn't, but he's here now, so let's get behind him. I think he's made a good impression so far. Really like him. So yeah, I would love to see him do that, chant thing at the end of every game, because then we're winning, and that's ultimately where I want him to be. But let's move on. Interesting question. Kenny says I don't follow his agenda, so I'm really trying hard tonight because Kenny does the agenda for every podcast. And then he says, and I quote, what did he say? Doubt he'll use all of this, but might take up some of it. Chris says, when we go live, he'll go rogue as usual. He's a horrible, horrible little man. This is the abuse, folks, that I take on our podcast. But I'm going to stick to it. And Kenny, you've asked, and I think it's interesting, what is progress under Danny Röhl? What is Rangers' progress? What is required for them? I wrote about it today in the Rangers News a wee bit. In the Rangers Review, in my article for them, just saying that progress for me is results, game by game, getting to January. And even then, I don't think January's the great big, fixer that people hope it will be, because it's a difficult window and they still get the Kevin Thelwell effect. But what is progress for you?
What is progress? Well, I wrote the agenda. I didn't expect to answer that question, but I'll answer it anyway. Progress for me at this minute in time, now I've heard you say that. I think Chris said it last week. It's almost game by game. We have to kind of look at the minute. It's just one game at a time. So when you analyse what we have here, we're kicking the middle of November. We've got 7 weeks before this transfer window opens. The very worst we have to do is keep pace with Celtic, who were 5 behind, and Hearts, who I think, I don't know how many points we're behind them, 12, 11, whatever it is. I've no idea. Now, do I expect Hearts to slip up and drop off? Yes, I do. So at this minute in time, I'm not overly concerned with where they are at the minute, purely on the basis that I think come January, we are going to have to improve this squad. So at this minute in time, I'm almost forgetting about Hearts and hoping and expecting that they will slip. But being only 5 behind Celtic at this minute in time is unbelievable for me, considering how poor we've been. And if you consider that, when Russell Martin left, we'd won, I think it was 1 league game. So for us to be in this situation where we're actually strangely still kind of there or thereabouts, what I would like to see us do is, if there's any way we can, close that gap and get to the January window. And from there, we need, and I'll be honest here, I think we need 4 or 5 in, but right through the spine of that team. That's what needs addressed. We need leaders in that team. If you can get them in January is another question altogether. I'm not sure you'll be able to get everything you're looking for, but we certainly need a centre half, a number 6, and a goal scorer. I don't think there's any doubt in that for me. Progress overall is a very difficult one to kind of gauge this season, because if I'm being realistic about the start of this season, for all that we spent a lot of money, I genuinely wasn't 100% convinced we were going to go and win a league anyway. I wasn't convinced for the head coach, and with the sheer number of new signings that were all coming from the one pool, the one market, that Championship, and the expectation levels that you have here, that's on Kevin Thelwell, as we know. And as you mentioned about January, is that's the issue. So for me at this moment in time, it is, the progress has got to be maintaining that league form, winning every single game effectively in the league as best you can, and keeping up and hoping that the other ones slip. And from there, you reassess and reanalyze what you need to do.
Well, if we were to do that, Chris, and win every single game, we play Hibs, we play Hearts. Hearts play Celtic, Hibs play Celtic, Hearts and Hibs play each other. Naturally, by winning our own games, we're going to chip away at the teams above us, naturally, by default anyway, no matter how the results go. So progress for me is games like Sunday becoming a normality and the players finding a decent level of form with the results. Europe, as I said, I think it's gone. So we just take the league games as being the absolute priority. It'd be nice to restore some pride in Europe, get a result or two, but after 4 defeats, it has to be about the league. What is progress, though, to you?
In many ways, I've actually already seen progress, haven't we? Let's kind of be honest there. Like, it's ridiculous that I'm even going to ask this question, but when was the last time we won 3 games in a row in the league? Probably was under Clement in January, I seen, something like that, which is it's nearly a year, man. That's ridiculous. So in many ways, he's brought progress already, but progress for me is pretty much of the same as what you guys are saying. Europe, it's done. We're not qualifying for Europe, so we can almost see that as an unwelcome distraction now, rather than a welcome distraction, and just keep winning in the league. It's as simple as that. Just keep winning the league. Don't worry about what anybody else is doing. We've still got it in our hands to cut the gap on Celtic, and we've still got it in our hands to cut the gap in Hearts. And before the January window opens, we'll have opportunity to do both. So just keep winning, and it's as simple as that. It's quite unrealistic to expect to win every single game between now and January, because I'll be honest, I do not trust this squad at all. But if we can get as close to that as we possibly can, even if we can go on an undefeated run, which obviously a few draws could be in there, definitely progress. But as I say, I think it's a bit well, I don't know if it's premature or not, or maybe a wee bit behind the things, but we can actually see progress already with the 3 wins in a row. And I get we're Rangers, and I understand that's nothing and that should be a given. I understand all that, but we also need to look at the context. January was the last time that actually happened. So he's cutting away at it, chipping away at it. Don't worry about what anybody else is doing, and just try and reduce the gap as far as you possibly can. And the fact that we've got it in our hands to do it, especially between now and January, is good. But it's also bad not to be negative, because, as I say, I do not trust these players at all. Don't want to say all the players, but 85% of that squad I do not trust, and that's when it's going to be difficult for Röhl. If he can somehow get us to where we need to be, and to your point, Stevie, give us a fighting chance in January, then undoubtedly that would be progress. Absolutely, undoubtedly. So yeah, let's just see. Let's just take it one game at a time without looking too far ahead.
Quickly going to bring this one up. I find it interesting. Panel, do we put anything into Europa at this point in terms of playing our best players? For me, second choice players should be playing Europa League now. Give the likes of Curtis Wright and Cameron a chance. Curtis, yes. Cameron, yes. Rice, no. I don't think Bailey Rice has at any point shown that level. And he needs to do a lot more in the Rangers jersey to get given a chance, not just for the sake of it. Too many managers have said Bailey Rice is behind the times. I've seen him quite a lot at youth levels, and he's never really stood out. So harsh, maybe, but Finlay Curtis has shown it more in a couple of games to give him a chance. Would I play a second string in Europe? No. Would I rotate it? I would make a few changes, but it's important to keep the momentum up as much as I think that the league is a priority. So it's getting the balance right. Chris, thoughts on that?
The ironic thing is, if we were to play a team involving Curtis, Cameron, and a few of the other fringe boys, we'd probably get better performances and possibly even get some results, because these are the boys, and this is no criticism of Danny Rohl, this is more of a criticism of Russell Martin, but these boys should have been playing, these boys should never have been out the team, and they were coming out the team to fit in these players purely. And I'm going to say it, I know it caused I know you're going to laugh here, but Cameron and Curtis didn't play so that these guys who cost millions of pounds could play, because there's no other reason why they weren't in the team, and possibly even now why they're not in the team. They can find himself hard done by in that respect. So yeah, I'd definitely play them in the Europa. We know expectation on them, and just see what they can do and express themselves. But not just in the Europa. I want to see more of them in the. I want to see more of them in the league, because it really does my head in seeing players like Asgard play and Cameron isn't. You know what I mean? Cameron should be in that team before Asgard, because Asgard's not given anywhere near enough. So Curtis, absolutely bang unlucky. Again, for me, his performance against St Mirren when he came on and changed the game, I'm actually on record for saying I wouldn't have him at my team. He's going to have great moments, and he'll have dips in form, because that's what happens with younger players. But he was more. I've been more willing to persevere with him than I was with Ant-Man. And Ant-Man's just been bombed out completely. But I get that, obviously, the unlucky part of Curtis is now Mikey Mills coming onto a game, and you can't really drop him. I totally understand that. But yeah, 100% play them. 100% play them. Because they should be playing anyway, is my take on it.
Interesting comment here. Felt for Cameron on Sunday, was dying to get on. Yeah, so did I. But ironically, with him staying on, Gassama would have come off and wouldn't have got the third goal potentially. So it swings and roundabouts, I suppose. Kenny, more news from today to discuss. Patrick Stewart, Rangers statement filled everybody with great hope, as it started with Chief Executive Officer Patrick Stewart. And then it says, has been appointed to the legal and regulatory working group of the EFC Football, EFC, formerly the European Club Association. What that means for us, I'm not too sure, but there was a lot of excitement at the first line, and then not much after that. It's a prestige appointment, I suppose, but what will it really do for Rangers in the broader terms? Maybe some smarter folk can tell us in the comments, but this is news from today from the club.
I've got no idea what it does for Rangers whatsoever. He's on the legal panel of something, which is fine. But okay, what it does for Rangers is nothing. I don't think. I think he's just representing the club, I suppose, in this organisation of football clubs that all kind of sit there and have a chit chat. Well, good. I don't really know what to say about this. Apart from the fact that he's got that gig suggests that he's not going anywhere anytime soon, is he? And the bigger issue with Patrick Stewart is the running of our football club and the mistakes that he's made. So on a panel, good. He's on the SPFL board or something like that as well, isn't he? So he's a busy man. Okay. I genuinely mean it, Stevie. I don't know very much to say about this, because I don't know what the panel is. I know what the.
Well, I'll read what the club says about it. Patrick appointment places Rangers within one of EFC's most influential governance forums. The legal and regulatory working group helps shape disciplinary frameworks, licensing systems, integrity structures, and the wider regulatory environment that underpins European football. His involvement reflects his extensive legal experience and Rangers' growing influence within Europe's football landscape. Stewart himself said Rangers needs to be present in rooms where decisions are shaped both domestically and in Europe to make sure the interests of our club and supporters are understood. With regulation evolving fast, having a seat at the table allows us to anticipate developments and influence them where we can. Chris, Patrick Stewart really deserves it. He's done a sterling job for Rangers so far. What's your thoughts on it?
And Rangers will definitely get their best man representing Rangers on that board as well, don't they? So, I mean, yeah. I'm kind of more to the point than maybe Kenny was. I'll probably say what Kenny was dying to say. To be fair, I don't care, and I probably don't care because of who it is. These things are, as ironically Patrick Stewart says, it gives Rangers a voice, and it gives us a seat at a kind of prestigious table that helps shape certain models, policies, procedures, whatever, ideals. You've got a guy that just hates us. and he does. I don't care what anybody says. He hates the Rangers fans, and I don't want to say he hates the clubs, but he's got no time for the Rangers fans, and he's done an absolutely shocking job up to this point, and he's there representing our voice. I'm really excited about that. I can't wait to see the changes that's going to come for that. It probably in a really serious point that does concern me, just on Kenny's head, and I've seen some of the comments. I do agree. It just means he's not going anywhere anytime soon. So it's not good news, is it?
I knew that. I knew you couldn't. That was like a home run for me there. I knew that you would bat that back perfectly, Chris.
Did you mark off all your bingo calls?
I had it. I knew that. Even I was laughing as I asked you, and I seen the serious face. I was like, yes, he's gonna go in on this. So now, listen, fair enough. I think it is what it is. Whether it will bear fruit or do anything for Rangers, I'm not so sure. I think our opinion on Patrick Stewart is widely known. I would agree with what Chris was saying. It's one of those ones. More news coming out tonight, gentlemen, that our esteemed head of referees, Willie Collum, will back Nick Walsh and his referees in their decision making from the League Cup semi-final. In that, he backs the decision of Austin Trusty's yellow card, because it wasn't malicious or hard enough. It was okay to kick him in the head because it's just a wee gentle tap. I mean, look, the standard in refereeing since Willie Collum took over wasn't great. It's got worse and worse and worse with his running of it. He is as inspiring as a wet fart, to be quite honest, in charge of refereeing. Kenny, you pointed out we should be putting more pressure. We certainly should be putting more pressure on Willie Collum. The guy is letting the country down, and not only one team. We seem to be getting the brunt of it, but the officiating across the board, the standards are awful. How you can honestly sit there as a head of refereeing and say, yeah, a yellow card was fine when you kick somebody in the head, and not even, by the way, in a close cut tackle. This is like he let his inner thoughts win, which are dangerous, I should know. And he kicked him in the head a full couple of seconds later. I mean, there's no justification for it, except for Willie. He thinks it's okay. Rangers, this is where it pisses me off, because this route that they're going down to try and make friends with him doesn't work. So, and this is the standard that we get, and he's honestly coming out and saying it's okay. It's just that. What do you say about this? It's farcical.
I expect nothing less from Willie Collum. Willie Collum is the man that turned around and watched Alistair Johnson punch a ball out the pitch and turn around and tell us there wasn't a handball. So the man is not fit for purpose. And the simple scenario here that I look at, this should be a watershed moment for Scottish football. Now, whether people agree or disagree is entirely up to them. And I'm going to highlight a Rangers decision that's went against us, or you have just there, because this is a Rangers podcast. But every team in the country will be, having podcasts, talking about this on a weekly basis, because it is scandalous, the level and the standard that this lot are performing at. Now, the Austin Trusty one, I'm just of the mind, right, that nobody's ever going to tell me, now, Chris played football. I know you were a referee, Stevie. I know you were a top-class goalie and all that yourself in your day as well. But nobody's ever going to tell me. Hold on a minute,
Eric, before we go any further, I also scored 4 goals for Cool B team in Primary 6 when we won the league. So just to...
Well done, mate.
Thank you. I've got
really
a trophy.
Really good going. But the situation... Okay. The situation with this is that, as you say, this is a premeditated kick to the head. It's at the face, right? He's aimed for his face. Now, whether it actually connects with the face or not, he aims it at his face. And you're like, well, of course he's going to back him. What else do you expect? This is the kind of nature of the nonsense that we're having to deal with. Now, we could hark back at the amount of crazy decisions. More out than what in the cup final last season. The most crazy, absolutely bonkers statement from a fully qualified referee to turn around and say it's more out than realise what you're saying and say that, well, if you say in any way, shape or form, it's a penalty kick because on the line's a penalty kick. So we could go on and on and on about all these decisions, Stevie. The situation is that no question, and you know, for me, that when Willie Collum backs this, then it's time to change. And I genuinely mean this. It is time for change. Now, what Rangers have to do there, I think, is turn. I've already said this, mate. They need to get other clubs on board. You're hearing Stephen Robinson, David Martindale, Derek McInnes. Everybody is moaning on a weekly basis about this. Get something done about it. Because if they honestly believe that sitting there and clicking together and turning and saying, no, there's nothing to see here, is the answer, they are full of shit. That's the most blatant red card anywhere on this earth that you will ever see. You cannot go from 3 meters away and go and decide to kick someone in the head. And I don't care what the force is, because determine how much force it could damage a head. It's a nonsense, mate. You got to give them concussion, brain damage, something like that. Is that what's going to happen before you get a red card for it? Utter bollocks, honestly.
It certainly, it was closer than 3 meters, that's for sure. 3 yards, I would say, is closer. Chris, Willie Collum, how do you rate the job Willie Collum's doing?
Yeah, I don't rate it. The guy only really got the job because he retired, let's be honest. There was no really outstanding candidate anyway. Again, we had an opportunity here to do things a wee bit differently. I think we actually tried to do that by getting an English referee in, a retired English referee. I can't remember what one it was, but I think it lasted not very long. I think, to be fair, I think he was helping with the implementation of VAR, but there was talk that he was going to be getting that job that Collum done. Honestly, the name escapes me. Maybe somebody can help me in the comments, but that's the route that we have to go down. You know what I mean? You see all these, and I get that the Scottish football doesn't have the money that is required for these kind of appointments, but you see English referees and even foreign referees go all over the world, not even Europe anymore, in these head of refereeing positions. I think there was a few top class English referees went to Greece, one went to Saudi Arabia, and other countries like that, and yet we just kind of pick the one who's not, well, I was going to say who's maybe not the worst, like probably was one of the worst, but you get what I mean. The one that's available because he's retired from refereeing, so he'll do like that must have been the process for his appointment. You could point to maybe other conspiracy theories, but I certainly won't go down that road because, yeah. But anyway, I don't actually get it, Stevie, because is he not part of the key match incident panel? What's the difference between that and?
So the key match incident panel is 3 former professional footballers who give their opinions. It's not related to any way in how they do the discipline. They give a kind of overall opinion. According to Google, Martin Atkinson took over in December 2024 from John Moss. So he is helping. He's a VAR manager at the Scottish FA.
Right, so he's a VAR manager. So we've got a VAR manager who is undoubtedly more qualified than another head of refereeing. Like, I don't get it. And the key match incident panel, that's 3 former footballers, not referees.
I think referees are in it as well.
Right. So what
is it? I thought it was just 3 known kind of professionals at this moment in time. Could be ex-players and that. I know a couple of them.
It can be an ex-referee, mate, because I know one of the ex-referees that's on it.
Right,
Aye.
so
Can be used. Aye.
Okay,
So,
fair.
in regards to the decision that this panel made for the Trusty incident, do we get to know if they were footballers or referees, or is it just the panel? Like, so, I mean, what's the point in that panel if you're in head of referees just coming and going, oh, by the way, that panel, that independent panel was wrong and the referee was right, even though everybody can see that. Listen, people are. I think people are maybe misdirecting a wee bit here their angle, and please don't take this as a defence of Nick Walsh by any stretch of the imagination, because it absolutely isn't. But these things in football can be missed. So you would accept that pre-VAR. Maybe you don't accept it, but you understand these things can be missed. So let's say that Nick Walsh did miss that. Why have VAR missed it? The whole point in VAR is to pick up and clear and obvious errors. You can't. There's no excuse for that at all. That was as clear and obvious error as you can get. It was violent conduct, and it should have been looked at. And the fact is, it was reviewed very quickly. At the very, very least, it should have been an on-field review, and it wasn't. And this is what I mean. It's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. Wally Collum was never going to come out and take Rangers' side over Nick Walsh. It's as clear as day that was never going to happen. So I'm not shocked by it, but again, it comes down to integrity, doesn't it? You know, you have to question his integrity in these matters, because he's meant to be a qualified referee that refereed at the top of the game in this country, and he's turning around and insulting our intelligence by saying that wasn't a red card. Yeah. So if that's how he wants to conduct himself in that job, then yeah. No one's expected. No one's surprised. No one is surprised at all. So yeah.
Jack Butland said it best last week when he talked about, is that a precedent being set? And he hopes it isn't. Now, what I would suggest that our referees need to do is go and ask every single goalkeeper in the professional game in Scotland and ask them if they think it's a red card. Because every single goalkeeper in our game will turn around and say, no, you can't be doing that to us.
I think again, I don't want to kind of bring this up and be part of this extended meltdown about the situation. What happened. We can't change what happened, but what we can change is the future going forward, right? But if I do go back to that incident, right, and as a taking the goalkeeper side in this, if Butland went down to grab the ball in a melee and he get hit in the face, that happens. That's par for the course. That's the danger of being a goalkeeper, and very, very likely Trusty would have got away with it, purely because you could argue he was going for the ball. But the fact that Butland had his hand in the ball for a good 2-3 seconds and then get hit in the face, I mean, yeah. And VAR missed that. As I say, I'm not excusing Nick Walsh, right? I know for a fact he probably didn't miss it. I know for a fact he probably did see it, and he's probably thought, oh, he's just tapped him, because it probably did look like a tap in real time. But there's no excuse for VAR. No excuse for VAR to have missed that. And then furthermore, there's absolutely no excuse for Wally Collum after the fact, a week after the fact, having probably reviewed that footage about a million times in all different angles and all different speeds. There is no excuse for him to then come out and say, Nick Walsh get the right decision, or VR get the right decision, because they just simply didn't. And to talk about Rangers, how do we then change this going forward? We have to be at the forefront of it. And as I say, my kind of suggestion is the one that I would heavily back as a fan, and it's foreign referees. It's as simple as that. And I don't even mean foreign referees on the continent, it could be English referees. And I get there comes a financial aspect here, but the integrity of the game should be at the forefront of every club in Scotland, every single club in Scotland's mind. But it doesn't always seem to be, because Kenny, you made a good point about Stephen Robinson, Derek McInnes, and David Martindale. I guarantee you that if Rangers approach these clubs to kind of go in bed with us and fight this fight, none of them would do it. None of them would do it. So, yeah, what can you do?
Thank you, boys. Let's leave it there. A couple of things before we end the podcast tonight. Being contacted by Jill and Courtney, who are founders of a new venture called Auric, Auric. And they are two Rangers fans launching their own startup for luxury pet products. Their first products are out now, so check them out on TikTok and Instagram at We Are Auric. Again, it's We Are. Auric is spelled Auric. Now, I probably butchered that. Remember, this is me. It's probably pronounced differently, or you can check it out at weareauric.co.uk. Go and give the girls a follow and check it out as well. Two Rangers fans hoping to make it, so appreciate the girls giving us a shout. The girls actually offered money and tried to give to the podcast for doing that. We're not going to take something like that off of fellow Rangers fans hoping to try and launch our business. So go and check the girls out. They're started off with cats, and as soon as we get the dog stuff on, that's when we'll really give up on the dogs. We love the dogs. So on that, just one final thing before we go. I, along with David Edgar and CJ Novo, will be playing Edmondson House in a live special fan media show with special guest Mark Haitley. It is on Friday the 9th of January from Edmondson House. Doors open at 7 p.m. Tickets will be on sale on Friday morning. We expect these to go fast. Really excited about it. Really hope to see a lot of you there. Please come and check it out. We're really looking forward to it. So if you can make that, please do. As I said, we're really looking forward to seating and standing tickets available. They'll be on sale Friday 10 a.m. Look out on all our socials. And yeah, that is it, folks. We hope you join us. It would be great to meet everybody. Just a final thanks to Chris and Kenny for the evening. Chris, thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. Good show. And as I say, a wee luxury for me, not having to predict a European defeat the next day after the pod. So until next week or the week after. So no, brilliant.
Kenny, thanks very much, mate. Appreciate it.
Not at all. Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Stevie. And if you're using that thumbnail that you said you were going to use, I'll never talk to the Perry ever again.
If you're going to keep calling me a cockwomble and all the other names that you call me, I'll never talk to you again either. It's not my fault you turn up for pods in your pajamas. So on that note, folks, we really appreciate you coming along and supporting us. All the comments, all the support. Thousands again watch every show. It baffles us, but we absolutely love it. Just another point before we go. Mark Morrison, who was a podder was a viewer, along with Amrit, will be joining the podcast. We are really keen to give people the opportunity to have their say, to have their voice. That's two people who were subscribers, who were watchers of the show, will be on the podcast now, and we're determined to make new people and try and give them their voice. So if you like what we do at Four Lads, become a member, support the pod, get yourself on the podcast, have a say, and start becoming a podder along with these guys. And do you know what the great thing about Mark is? He's got hair. So that is good. So yes, another new podder to look forward to, and a new voice, because it's important, I think, to get different opinions, different attitudes and things like that. And that's the thing about Chris as well. I've known Chris now 10 years, 12 years. Chris and I have been really good friends, and I managed to get him out of retirement back on the podcast as well, which I've been trying to do for a while. So I'm delighted he's back on and joining us as well. So we hope that you're enjoying the new voices and hope that Mark will make an impression on you all as well. Please get in contact with the podcast, Four Lads of Dream at gmail.com, if you fancy becoming a podder and going down that route. We have lots of opportunities for you. So with regards to that, folks, thanks for everybody. Special mention as well tonight for Raymond Clark and Bluebells, who gave out 10 gifted membership, and Nancy Lyons, who made a £2 donation as well. You don't need to, Nancy, but we really appreciate it. Thanks for all your support. If you haven't, please like and subscribe to the podcast on YouTube or Spotify, wherever you listen to your content. We really appreciate it. Have a good night. Andrew's back on Friday night. Kenny and myself are playing a live show in Blackpool at the Gallant Pioneer. If you're in the area, pop in and see us all. And with regards to if you're not, the podcast is here 7 p.m. Friday night as normal with Andrew and all the guys. Have a great evening, folks. Have a good weekend. We will see you soon. Take care. Bye for now.
The Four Lads Lads podcast is sponsored by Rhino Express, Clydeview Joinery, Athol Industrial Solutions Limited, and CSD Air Conditioning, in partnership with Black Rooster and Art of Gold. Thank you for listening to or watching the podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show.